Dr. Caroline Weaver was on her third night shift of the week at the St. Vincent Medical Center. Known for its sprawling, dimly lit halls, the hospital had a reputation for eerie occurrences. Caroline, a pragmatist, dismissed such tales as exhaustion-fueled paranoia. That night, the hospital received an unusual patient. A man in his mid-40s, unresponsive, was brought in with no identification. His body was covered in strange, spiraling scars. As Caroline began her examination, the man's eyes shot open. His lips trembled as he whispered, "They're watching, don't listen to them." Minutes after the death, the hospital experienced a total power failure. Emergency lights cast the halls in an unsettling red glow. Down the hall in Ward C, a nurse screamed. The bed was empty except for deep, spiraling scars burned into the sheets. As the night dragged on, strange phenomena escalated. Patients reported hearing whispers in languages they didn't understand. The whispers grew louder near empty rooms, pulling staff and visitors alike into trances. Caroline found herself drawn to Ward C. The air was heavy and the temperature dropped as she entered. The psychiatric wing had been sealed off for years after an unexplained fire killed several patients and staff. As Caroline pushed open the rusted double doors, a blast of freezing air struck her. Inside, the walls were blackened with soot, but the faint spirals of the strange scars were etched into the remaining plaster. The whispers grew deafening, voices overlapping into an unintelligible cacophony. At the center of the room stood the patient's corpse, but it was no longer lifeless. He turned to face her, his mouth stretching into a grin far too wide for his face. Caroline stumbled back, but the doors slammed shut behind her. The man's form began to twist, his body elongating into something inhuman. Shadows danced around him, coalescing into figures with hollow eyes and stretched mouths. "The scars," Caroline whispered, realization dawning. They weren't random, they were a map, a gateway carved into flesh. Caroline woke in a hospital bed, her colleagues gathered around her. "You passed out," Eleanor said, relief in her voice. Her hands trembled as she felt the spiraling scars now etched into her own skin. That night, as she walked the halls, she heard the whispers again. This time, they were clear,